You want legs? Fine. But every single step you take will feel like walking on sharp knives. Your feet will bleed.
Deep beneath the waves, in a magnificent palace made of coral and pearls, lived the Sea King and his 6 daughters.
It is a sanctuary. Look at the light. So beautiful.
The youngest was the most beautiful Little Mermaid. While her sisters were happy playing in the underwater world, she was different. Every evening she would swim up to the surface just to watch the human world above. She longed for their warm sunshine, their green forests, and most of all, their immortal souls. Mermaids live for 300 years, then they simply turn into sea foam and disappear. But humans have a soul that lives forever, even after the body dies. This thought haunted her more than to be with him. She had to do the unthinkable. She began her journey to the deep, dark abyss where the Sea Witch lived. But the path was a nightmare. Before reaching the cave, she had to pass through a terrifying forest of polyps. Creatures that were half plant and half animal. They looked like giant, slimy snakes growing out of the ground. Their hundreds of long tentacles reached out, clutching everything they caught so tightly that it never got free. The mermaid saw with horror the white bones of drowned sailors and the skeletons of land animals, all strangled in the polyp's grip. She had to pin her long hair tight to her head and swim faster than she ever had, barely escaping the hundreds of clutching arms that wanted to drag her into the darkness forever. Finally, she reached the Sea Witch. The witch's voice was cold as ice.
You want legs? Fine. But every single step you take will feel like walking on sharp knives. Your feet will bleed.
You will lose your beautiful voice forever. And if the prince marries another woman into sea foam at sunrise.
The Little Mermaid nodded. The witch took a long, sharp knife and cut out her tongue. Blood filled the water. She then drank the burning potion. Her tail split apart in agony, turning into 2 human legs. The pain was so intense she almost fainted. She reached the prince's palace. Everyone was amazed by her grace,
Who is she?
but no one knew
Such
her
beauty,
secret.
it must be magic. Her eyes hold a deep sorrow.
The prince was kind to her, but there was a tragic misunderstanding. He called her his dear foundling and his little pet. He would pat her head and let her sleep on a velvet cushion at his door, but he never thought of her as his equal or his wife. He loved her like one might love a loyal animal or a silent child. Every day she danced for him, moving as light as a bubble, even though every step felt like 1,000 knives cutting deep into her feet. Blood stained the marble floor where she walked, but she never cried. She smiled brighter than anyone, while her heart was screaming a truth she could no longer speak. She had given up her home and her voice for a man who looked at her with affection. Soon the prince announced his marriage.
I am pleased to announce my marriage to the beautiful temple princess who saved my life.
The Little Mermaid's heart was shattered. On the wedding night, she stood on the deck of the ship, watching the man she loved kiss his new bride. Suddenly, her 5 elder sisters rose from the dark waves. Their long, beautiful hair was gone. They had cut it all off and given it to the Sea Witch in exchange for a magical knife. They whispered desperately,
Stab the prince in the heart before sunrise. If his blood falls on your feet, they will turn back into a tail. You will be a mermaid again. You can come home.
She looked at the sleeping prince, the man she had sacrificed her voice and her family for. She raised the knife, her hands trembling, but she looked at his face, then at his bride, and realized she couldn't do it. She threw the knife into the sea and plunged into the water as the first rays of the sun hit the horizon. Her body began to dissolve into white sea foam. She felt herself disappearing into the waves. But the story doesn't end there. She was transformed into a daughter of the air. Because of her sacrifice, she was given a chance to earn the immortal soul she so desperately wanted. But Andersen added a strange, almost haunting rule to her 300-year penance. She must fly through the homes of humans. If she finds a good child who makes their parents happy, she smiles, and 1 year is taken off her 300-year sentence. However, if she sees a naughty or disobedient child, she must weep tears of sorrow. And for every tear she sheds, another day is added to her time of trial. Your behavior as a child literally decides how long she must suffer before she can finally enter heaven.